Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a review on the Spartacus boxing old school headgear. So check it out. Hey, what's up guys? Carlo here. Today I'm doing a review on the Spartacus boxing old school headgear. I got mine in the all white colorway, size small, medium. You can also get it in large XL, so you essentially have two sizes to choose from depending on the circumference of your head. You can also get it in one additional colorway in all black, and they do offer custom options if you wanted to do that as well. It's made of full genuine leather on the exterior of the headgear, with the interior liner being a synthetic micro suede material, and it utilizes soft to medium density foam throughout the headgear. And lastly, I believe that the headgear is made in Pakistan. There's no actual tag outside of the size tag right there on the crown that shows medium, but there's no tag on the inside indicating where it's manufactured, but my best guess is that this headgear is manufactured in Pakistan. Design-wise, this is a conventional cheek protector style headgear with the cheek pads on the front, which are about 1 inch in thickness. You do have the Spartacus logo on the left side of the temple right here. A top crown and rear lace closure, which is my preferred closure on headgears, especially compared to Velcro. I feel like laces give a more custom and snug fit and conform to the shape of your head better than Velcro does. It also has the headgear size. I got mine in small medium, and that's actually stitched onto the crown right there as well. The chin strap does have a nylon strap at the very bottom, and this utilizes the quick clip system. So you have the male and the female end. And the nice thing about this is that it's very convenient. Once you have the headgear on, assuming you're the only one using this headgear, is that you can adjust the depth of the chin strap to the size of your head, and once you do that, it's pretty much pre-fitted to your head. So every time you put on this headgear, all you have to do is click it into place. You know, compared to some of the old style headgears that use a strap at the end, and then it utilizes like a belt buckle, and then you have to find the holes for the belt buckle, which can be a little bit more inconvenient, especially when you're trying to put your headgear on really quickly to get the sparring. So to me, the quick clip system, which is the type of a chin strap that a lot of companies have adopted in their headgears, is really the way to go. So you have that. You also do have this synthetic micro suede liner on the inside, which I really like. You know, there's pros and cons to this type of liner. The pros is that, in my opinion, compared to a lot of other type of liners, except for maybe like aniline liners, which like Hit, Move, and Phenom and other companies use, this is really good because when you start to sweat, this does a better job of gripping to your skin on your face and not slipping around. Now, I don't think any headgear is pretty much move proof, meaning that any headgear you wear, regardless of the type of liner, you're going to have a little bit of movement when you get hit in the face. That's just part of it. What you're trying to do is reduce the amount of movement. And you'll notice that certain headgears, especially ones that use a leather liner or more of a slick type liner, when you get hit with a shot, oftentimes shift a lot more than headgears with this type of liner on the inside. So the suede type liners, any of these cloth liners that are a little bit more grippier to your skin, are nice in the fact that they don't slip as much as some of the other headgears that use a smoother liner or leather on the inside. Now, the drawback with these type of liners, they oftentimes soak up a lot of sweat. So with that being said, if you get done sparring and this headgear is completely drenched in sweat, the last thing you want to do is throw it into your gym bag and then zip it up. And now it becomes like this petri dish of bacteria, basically, because you're not allowing the headgear to air out and dry out properly. And also what happens when you do that is, if over time you use this headgear over and over, this suede material or whatever type of cloth liner will start to get really rough and crusty, because again, that the moisture had nowhere to go and nowhere to escape. So not only will the inside of the liner be filled with bacteria and all other types of nasty stuff, but then the liner will start to get really kind of like rough. If you have a pair of old headgear, you know what I mean. The liner gets really just kind of crusty feeling. So it's really important that if you do have the type of liner like you have in this headgear, that you air it out, and that's very important. Now, in terms of the foam padding, you have a kind of a combination of medium to soft density foam padding, depending on the place of the headgear. The forehead, you're looking at about 3 inches in total thickness. Now, this is called the old school headgear, and it's kind of modeled like an old school headgear in the way that the foam is inserted into different places. Like a lot of old school headgears too, you kind of have this oversized ear donut on the side of the head, and you'll notice that the upper portion of the ear donut is much thicker than the lower portion of the ear donut. What's really nice about this is once I put this headgear on, I'll show you guys, is that you get full coverage over your ear. So what that does is, one, if you take a hook to the side of the head, or you just hit to the side of the head, this is about, I'd say, maybe almost 2 inches in thickness of this ear donut, and it does a really good job of absorbing shock. I'd say that this is more of a medium density foam, and it kind of tapers downwards right here. But if a punch comes in, obviously the gloves are going to be on, and it comes in and hits that. It does a really good job of absorbing the shock from a punch to the side of the head. And then you have about maybe 3/4 of an inch of this crossbar padding that comes across on the side of the ear. So you can see it does have a tapered out, oversized ear donut on the side of the ear. And again, like I said, about 3 inches in total thickness over the forehead. And that's all throughout the entire forehead on the side of the temples. Again, about 1 inch in thickness over the cheeks right here. And it kind of tapers out a little bit thicker on the sides right there. So the ear donuts I showed you guys. And then the back of the head, the padding, I'd say you're looking at about a 1/2 inch of padding on the back of the head. So you're not going to have this big pad on the back of the head. Obviously, you shouldn't be getting hit on the back of the head, but you do have a little bit of padding. And that's pretty much going to be the same for any of the rear lace closure type of headgears. You're not going to have this big pad on the back because this is where you lace up the gloves. And number two, if you're sparring properly, you're in the gym where they're making sure that they're looking after their boxers, then nobody should be hitting you on the back of the head anyway. So you do have that. So overall, a very clean, well-designed looking headgear. And again, kind of with that old school touch with the oversized padding around the ear donuts as well as on the forehead. Quality-wise, this headgear is actually really nice. The leather on here, to me, is pretty standard when it comes to a lot of the other Pakistan-made goods that you see. I would say that this is very comparable to what you would see from like Top Boxer in terms of the type of leather that's used here. Again, has a very nice thick cut feel to it. Doesn't feel cheap. Doesn't feel like a budget headgear. And then it utilizes leather throughout the entire headgear. So there's nothing synthetic on this headgear. Even the top straps where the laces go through, that's all made of leather. But you can see it for yourself. The headgear weighed in at 11.3 ounces when I put it on the scale. So for a headgear like this that has a lot of cushioning, it's actually relatively lightweight for a headgear that has as much cushioning as this does. So if you're somebody that prioritizes a lot of cushioning on your headgear, kind of likes that old school style, and wants something that's relatively lightweight, then this definitely would check off that box. You do have a stitching seam there in the middle vertically. I'm not sure why they have that, other than if you were to get a custom pair and the left side was a different color than the right, then I can see why there would be a seam right there. But for a headgear that's all white, to me, having a seam right there is pointless. In fact, the only thing what I really don't like about that is over time, if you're using this headgear for a long period of time, I can definitely see this being an area that starts to unravel because you're taking strikes. This is pretty much the prime area of where punches are coming. So having a seam there for no reason, especially for a headgear that's all one color, to me doesn't really make any sense. Now, again, if you have a custom headgear and this is a different color than that, then you have no choice, right? Because they're different colors. But again, I'm not too sure why they have that there. But you can see it for yourself. Everything looks really good. Nice, symmetrical. No issues with stitching on both sides. All looks really clean. The back of the headgear is done very nicely. Inside liner looks really good. You do have this leather flap that comes over the female clip end to cover that so it's not exposed during sparring. And you also have this pad right here, so once you have the chin strap on, it covers that plastic piece to again give you some comfort underneath your chin. But overall, a very well crafted headgear, and no issues with it in terms of manufacturing quality. No red flags there. Very well made. You can see the cheek protectors are the same width apart. The opening where your eyes are at looks really good. So in terms of symmetry, everything is done very nicely. There you go. There you have it. Very well made headgear. All right, let's talk about comfort. Slide on the headgear. So I've been using this in sparring. So it's already adjusted to the size of my head. Same thing with the chin strap. So once it's adjusted to the size of your head, you already have it there. So first things first, very comfortable. I mean, there's nothing on this headgear in the front, the side, or the rear of the headgear that's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel like there's any pressure points per se, nor there should there be, because it's just all medium and soft density foam throughout the headgear. So it feels very comfortable. I love the way the liner feels in terms of, again, like I mentioned earlier, when you start to sweat, it does a pretty good job of staying in place. You know, I've taken some pretty good shots to the face with this headgear, and I didn't really have to readjust it very much. Again, you have that top closure as well as the rear lace closure. That feels really good. In terms of the sizing and ergonomics, so I got this in size small, medium. I believe my head circumference is about 23, which for headgears typically puts you like on a large XL. But I feel like this headgear, you can get away with getting this in a size smaller. And the reason I did that with this is that I didn't want the cheek protectors to be too large. So like if I went with a large XL, I feel like these cheek protectors would be too big and it would be pushing against my nose. And I hate that. I hate cheek protectors that are too large and then they pinch against your nose. To me, if I'm gonna get that, I might as well get a face saver, because that kind of defeats the whole purpose of having with a cheek protector headgear, at least having a little bit of visibility vertically, right? Where a face saver will have that bar on the front, and it pretty much inhibits your vertical vision from uppercuts or whatever else is coming up this way. So I did get it in small, medium, and I feel like this fits me perfectly. Even though technically most headgear say that I'm a large XL, I kind of downsize and I feel like this fits good. So it feels really good on the side. Also, the ear donuts are perfect. So my ears fit exactly in the donut hole. And again, you can see that it does a really good job of covering my ears and adding protection. So if a shot does come in, you have this large ear cushion right here that does a good job of basically absorbing the shock of the punch or the incoming shot and taking the steam off the punch a little bit. So I definitely like that tapered design. The other thing that I started realizing with this tapered design, and I know this is kind of a smaller thing, is that with the ear donuts being a little more tapered, if I have my hands up in like I'm in a defensive posture, I'm not going to have my hands like this, but if I have my hands up and I'm kind of like blocking and rolling with a shot. Now keep in mind I have gloves on. This being a little bit thinner at the bottom and tapering thicker at the top of the ear donut gives my hands a little bit, just a little bit of room closer to the side of my head to where I can roll, or I can come in with and kind of take the steam off of a shot if I'm defensively trying to block a shot. If the donut was thick all throughout, then my glove would be out a little bit more. It'd be a little bit further out, which if you get your glove off your face and you get hit and it'll bounce off your head. So you're still kind of getting the shock of the punch because now your hand is bouncing against your head. Where if it's a little more firmly planted against your head and you're making yourself compact like you should defensively, then yeah, you're still going to feel it regardless. But I feel like it just feels like you're more firm and everything is tied in together. So I know that's a really small detail, but I definitely feel like that does help a little bit with it being tapered down a little bit thinner towards this side. But again, it feels very comfortable on the front. Cheek protectors in terms of placement, it doesn't pinch against my nose. It feels like it's right up there against the nose right there. The temple and the forehead feel good. At the back of the head, the cushion feels good. And the back of the head is tapered, so I have full rotation of my head regardless of where I'm at. I can look to my left, my right, up look down, and no issues. Chin strap is in a perfect spot as well. So it's not too far back. It's not right against my throat. If you have chin straps on any of your headgears that are too far back, then you know that if you look down, the strap will actually push into your throat, which is really uncomfortable. Which this one, if I look down, there's no issues there. So in terms of chin strap placement, that feels really good. And again, you do have this pad right here that's in between the clip and your face. So this pad gives you a nice level of cushioning. And then you have this flap that goes over it, so it protects that plastic piece, and it also protects your sparring partner just in case you clash heads. So very comfortable overall, feels great. No issues with this headgear when it comes to comfort. Okay, let's talk about the protection and the performance of the headgear. First things first, peripheral vision. So being able to see left and right and look up and down. So my peripheral vision is actually pretty good, all things considered. You know, it does have a little bit of a smaller opening, so I can see left and right pretty well. I can see the opening. My up and down vision is decent. It's not the best. I would say that because of the cheek protectors, right? So you can definitely see the cheek protectors right here. So that will inhibit your vision just a little bit. And at least it's not like a full face bar where it's completely blocked. So I can get a little bit of vision downwards from shots that are coming down. So if my chin is tucked in like it should be, and I see an uppercut coming, I do have this little space right here that gives me a little bit of peripheral vision for a shot that's coming upward. So you still have that. And the side-to-side vision, again, I think is probably, in terms of the vision, the best on this particular headgear, where, again, the up and down or the vertical vision is decent. The cheek pads. Now, if you have a larger nose like me, you can see that my nose still protrudes out just a little bit right here. So if you're wondering if you're going to get hit in the nose with this headgear, yes, you're going to get hit. So if you have a shot coming in flush, you're still going to get hit in the nose, although the cheek pads do a decent job of kind of taking the steam off the punch. Keep in mind the cheek pads, yes, they're there to help, I guess, with taking the brunt off the punches. So if you have a punch coming in this way, it's going to help with that. If you have one coming in that, it's going to help. If you have one coming in straight, it's going to help with the glove not entering all the way through. But it's not foolproof, right? You still can get punched in the nose. So if you have a nose injury, if you've had a broken nose and you want to spar again, and you're worried about getting punched in the nose, and you're going to ask me, oh, well, can you get hit in the nose with this headgear? Yes, you can get hit in the nose. So I just wanted to clarify that. But as far as like head clashes, getting cuts, any type of damage around your orbital bone, on your cheekbone, then this does a really great job. So if you guys were, sparring, you guys are real tight up close and you end up clashing heads, this does a really, really good job of protecting the front part of your face in terms of head clashing and all of that. Obviously, it does not have a chin pad, so there is no protection in terms of your chin. So if you do take an uppercut, it's just full on open, but that's going to be the way it is for any of these open face cheek protector style headgear. But you can see again, it is open on the front. Now, in terms of getting hit towards this portion of the head, on the temple, on the side of the head, I think it did a really good job. After my sparring, my head would still be sore. So I can't really say if it's better or worse than other headgears, because my head is always sore after I spar. If someone's hitting me in the head and they land a couple of good shots, regardless of what headgear I've worn in the past, I've always had a sore head, and maybe that's just me. But like around the temple, the side of my head, my ears would be sometimes sore with headgears. And this was no exception. I did feel like a little bit of soreness, but in terms of like shock absorption during sparring, I felt like I did a really good job, a really admirable job of absorbing the shock with the punches coming in. And especially because it's a much thicker headgear around the forehead and the temple, I feel like I really did a good job in terms of absorbing the shock of the punch. But me just being me, I still felt like it was a little bit sore after using the headgear. But again, that's could be said for any of the headgears I've used. Maybe outside of like a face saver headgear where I wasn't getting any full-on contact to the front of my face because the bar would protect the front of my face, I would say that I would still get sore. But in terms of shock absorption, I feel like it really did a really good job. And in terms of lateral horizontal vision, it's pretty good. Vertical vision, not the best, but I could definitely deal with it. Cost-wise, this headgear is $110 US, which I definitely think is a fair asking price all things considered. It's full genuine leather, very nice quality. I love the liner on the inside. It does a really good job of pretty much staying in place. Make sure that you guys are maintaining it well, so after you're done using it, sweating in your headgear, you dry it out nicely. Gives you much more longevity and keeps the funk out of your headgear. I like the looks of it aesthetically. You do have the Spartacus logo on the front temple. It doesn't feel like it's overdone. I do like the option, the all-white colorway. You have all black. Would be nice to see them offer more standard colors outside of having to order it custom, which will take some time for them to make it for you. You do have the quick clip chin strap, which is always, to me, the best chin strap to have and the nicest way to go compared to an old school style belt buckle system. Rear and top and rear lace closure, excuse me, to me again, which is a better fit than Velcro. So to me, this headgear checks off all the boxes for me personally. Priced very well, very competitively. You get 2 different sizes to choose from. So yeah, I mean, for the price that you're getting this headgear for, I definitely think it's one I would recommend, especially considering, you know, the increase in price, inflation with a lot of other companies and gear that you're seeing in the, you know, $150, $200, and even over $200 range for protective equipment, especially headgear. So definitely think this is one of the headgears. If you're looking to replace your current one, or you're new to boxing and you're going to start sparring, definitely consider this at the price point that you're getting it at, because again, I feel like it checks off all the boxes. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys know what to do. Put it down below in the comments box. I'll put the link in the description box where you can find this Spartacus Boxing old school headgear. See you guys later. Peace.